Welcome to HOA rejected. This one escalated fast at the mailbox cluster. You are going to pay for this. Gloria slammed a gavel on a folding table, screaming that order meant I shut up and paid. The gavel was wood, the table was gray metal, and the whole setup looked like a yard sale reject, but she was treating it like a courtroom bench. I was standing in my own driveway in Bend, Oregon, staring at a tow warning sticker on my windshield, and Gloria Campbell was blocking my path to my front door with that ridiculous folding table between us. She had a laminated notice template in her hand, the kind with blank spaces she fills in by hand, and she was waving it like it was a warrant. The notice said I had violated Prairie Crossing Design Review Association parking rules. My truck was in my driveway. My own driveway. I work as a pest control technician, and I keep detailed service logs for every job, every address, every timestamp. I know where I park, and I know when. This was not a gray area. Gloria was wearing a reflective safety vest over her red windbreaker, the kind road workers use, except she had thrown it on to look official. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a low bun, and she had the kind of expression that said she had been waiting for this moment. Behind her, a couple on their porch 2 houses down were watching like it was a show, coffee mugs in hand. I need to see the rule you are citing, I said. She pulled out a folded rule packet in a plastic sleeve and slapped it on the table. You can be mad, or you can be compliant. The rule is clear. Commercial vehicles are not allowed in driveways overnight. My truck is not commercial. It has a topper and a toolbox, but it is registered as a personal vehicle. She smiled. Not according to the Design Review Association. We updated the definition last month. Any vehicle with visible equipment or signage is now considered commercial. I opened the packet. The rule she was pointing to had a handwritten note in the margin with a date. Last month. But the printed rule itself was dated 2 years ago. I took a photo of it with my phone. When did you update this? I asked. She snatched the packet back. That is not your concern. You have 48 hours to move the vehicle, or it will be towed. You will also be assessed a $200 administrative fee for the violation. I did not raise my voice. I did not need to. I had proof that was louder than any argument, and I was going to hold it until the right moment. Fine, I said. I will move it. But I want a copy of the meeting minutes where this rule change was voted on. Her smile froze. That is not how this works. Actually, it is. HOA bylaws require a membership vote for rule changes that affect property use. I want the minutes. She picked up the gavel and slammed it again. This meeting is over. Move your vehicle or face the consequences. She turned and walked away, leaving the folding table in my driveway. The couple on the porch gave me a slow clap. I gave them a nod and pulled out my phone. My storage was almost full, and I needed to back up the security camera footage from the last week before it got overwritten. I had a feeling I was going to need every frame. I moved the truck that night, parking it on the street 2 blocks away. It felt like giving in, but I had bigger problems. My job was on the line. I had been getting calls at all hours from the HOA about different violations, most of them bogus, and it was cutting into my sleep and my work schedule. I had missed 2 service appointments last week because Gloria had cornered me in the driveway with another notice. My boss was getting annoyed. But this was not just about me. Something had been off in Prairie Crossing for a while. About a year ago, another homeowner, a guy named Dennis, had gotten hit with a massive lien over a fence that supposedly violated setback rules. He paid it, moved out, and never came back. At the time, everyone assumed he was just unlucky. But now I was wondering if it was part of a pattern. I spent the next morning pulling up old HOA emails and meeting minutes from the online portal. The portal was a mess. Half the documents were mislabeled, and some of them had clearly been uploaded months after the meetings they were supposed to document. I found the minutes from the meeting where the parking rule was supposedly changed. The date matched what Gloria had written on the rule packet. But when I checked the metadata on the PDF, the file had been created 3 weeks ago, not last month. 3 weeks ago. I called my cousin, who is a local attorney. He does mostly real estate work, but he knows HOA law. I told him what I had found. That is called backdating, he said. If they created the rule after they cited you, That is fraud. You need to document everything. Get the original rule versions, get the meeting sign-in sheets, and get any correspondence that shows when they actually made the change. How do I get sign-in sheets? Request them in writing. They have to provide them under Oregon law. If they refuse, that is another violation. What if they just delete the evidence? Then you take it to the state. Oregon has an HOA ombudsman, but you need proof they deleted it. I drafted a formal records request and emailed it to the HOA management company. I asked for meeting minutes, sign-in sheets, rule change documentation, and any correspondence related to my parking violation. I copied Gloria and the HOA president. I kept the tone neutral and cited the statute. The reply came 2 hours later, from Gloria. Your request is denied. The information you are requesting is not relevant to your violation. You have 36 hours remaining to comply or face towing and additional fees. I forwarded the email to my cousin. He called me back immediately. They cannot deny a records request. That is illegal. File a complaint with the state ombudsman and send them a follow-up email citing the statute. If they still refuse, you can get an injunction. I sent the follow-up. This time I cited the Oregon Planned Communities Act, section by section. I kept it short and factual. I did not accuse anyone of anything. I just asked for the records again. No reply. I went to work. I had 3 properties to service that day, all residential pest control. I keep detailed logs for every job. Address, time in, time out, treatments applied, customer signature. It is boring work, but it keeps me employed, and the logs have saved me more than once when a customer claimed I missed a visit or used the wrong product. I was thinking about those logs when I realized something. If Gloria was backdating HOA documents, maybe she had done it before. Maybe Dennis, the guy who got hit with the lien, had been targeted the same way. I called Dennis. I still had his number from a neighborhood cookout 2 years ago. He answered on the 3rd ring. Hey. It is me from Prairie Crossing. I know this is random, but do you still have any of the paperwork from your fence violation? There was a long pause. Why? I think the HOA might have backdated the violation. I am dealing with something similar, and I am trying to figure out if it is a pattern. Another pause. Then he laughed, but it was not a happy sound. I knew it. I knew something was wrong. They hit me with a lien for a fence that had been there for 5 years. Suddenly it was a violation. I asked for the rule they were citing, and they gave me a packet that looked like it had been printed that morning. But I could not prove anything, so I just paid and left. Do you have any of the documents? I have the lien notice and the rule packet. I can scan them and send them to you. That would help a lot. He sent the files that afternoon. The rule packet was identical to mine. Same template, same handwritten margin note, same plastic sleeve. The lien notice had the same language Gloria had used with me. Administrative fee, compliance deadline, towing threat. But the dates were different. Dennis had been cited 18 months ago. If Gloria was using the same playbook, she had been running this scam for at least that long. I printed everything and put it in a binder. I labeled each section with tabs: parking violation, records request, Dennis case, rule metadata, correspondence. I was building a timeline, and the timeline was starting to look bad for Gloria. That night, I got another email. This one was from the tow company. It said my vehicle had been flagged for removal and that I had until noon the next day to move it, or it would be towed at my expense. The email included a photo of my truck. On the street, 2 blocks away from my house, not in my driveway. I called the tow company. The guy who answered sounded tired. You have my truck flagged for tow, but it is legally parked on a public street. Why? He sighed. We got a call from the HOA. They said it was a violation. What violation? He paused. I am looking at the work order now. It just says commercial vehicle, unauthorized parking. It is not a commercial vehicle, and it is on a public street. You cannot tow it. Look, man, I am just following the work order. If you have a problem, take it up with the HOA. I am taking it up with you. If you tow my truck, I will file a complaint with the state and sue for wrongful tow. The vehicle is legally parked and properly registered. Another pause. Let me talk to my supervisor. He put me on hold. I waited. 5 minutes later, he came back. Okay, we are pulling the work order, but the HOA is going to call us back. Let them. If they call you again, tell them to provide proof of the violation in writing. Otherwise, do not touch my truck. Will do. I hung up and immediately called my cousin. He was impressed. That was smart. You just created a paper trail. If they try to tow you again, you can prove they are harassing you. What is my next move? You need to confront her in public, get witnesses, make her repeat the lie in front of other people. Then you can use that as evidence of intent. I did not have to wait long. The next morning, Gloria showed up at my door with a clipboard. She was wearing the reflective vest again, and she had a handheld radio clipped to her belt, like she was coordinating some kind of operation. Behind her, a tow truck was idling at the end of the block. Your vehicle is in violation, she said. You were given a deadline, and you failed to comply. The tow company is here to remove it. My truck is on a public street. You have no authority to tow it. She smiled. You can be mad, or you can be compliant. The rule applies to all vehicles owned by residents, regardless of location. That is not in the bylaws. It is now. Show me. She held up the clipboard. There was a notice on it, freshly printed, with the same laminated template. The rule had been updated again. This time it said vehicles owned by residents were subject to HOA parking rules even on public streets. When was this voted on? Last night. Emergency board meeting. I want the minutes. They will be posted in 30 days. That is not how it works. Emergency meetings require same-day notification to all members. I did not get a notification. Her smile got wider. Check your spam folder. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. Nothing. I checked spam. Nothing. I checked trash. Nothing. I did not get anything. Then maybe you should update your contact information with the management company. She turned and waved at the tow truck driver. He started to pull forward. That was when my cousin pulled up in his car. He got out, walked straight to Gloria, and handed her a folded piece of paper. This is a cease and desist on behalf of my client. If you proceed with this tow, you will be sued for harassment, wrongful interference, and fraud. Gloria opened the paper and read it. Her face went red. This is not legal advice, she said. You are not his attorney. Actually, I am, as of this morning. And that is a formal legal notice. If you proceed, we will file in court tomorrow. The tow truck driver stopped. He rolled down his window. Is this tow happening or not? My cousin looked at him. Do you want to be named as a defendant in a wrongful tow lawsuit? The driver put the truck in reverse and left. Gloria turned to me. This is not over. You are going to pay for every minute of time you have wasted. She walked to her car and drove off. My cousin handed me another copy of the cease and desist. That bought you time, but she is going to escalate. You need to get ahead of this. I already am. I have a timeline, I have documents, and I have a witness who got hit with the same scam. What I need now is proof that she is changing the rules after the fact. You have the metadata. That is proof. Not enough. I need someone from inside the HOA to confirm it. Do you know anyone on the board? No, but I know someone who quit the board last year. Her name was Elaine. She had been the HOA treasurer until she resigned over what she called accounting irregularities. I found her email in an old HOA newsletter and sent her a message. I kept it vague. I just said I was investigating some inconsistencies and wanted to ask her a few questions. She called me that night. If this is about Gloria, I will tell you everything. That woman is a crook. We met at a coffee shop the next morning. Elaine brought a laptop and a flash drive. I saved copies of everything before I left, she said. Meeting minutes, financials, email threads. Gloria was rewriting records after the fact to cover her tracks. She would submit fake invoices, approve them herself, and then backdate the minutes to make it look like the board had voted on it. I caught her doing it twice. The first time, I thought it was a mistake. The second time, I knew it was fraud. I reported it to the HOA president, and he told me to drop it. So I quit. Do you have proof she backdated the minutes? She opened her laptop and pulled up a file. This is the original version of the October minutes from last year. She pulled up another file. This is the version that is on the portal now. Same meeting, different content. She added 3 votes that never happened. Why did she do it? Money. She was approving vendor contracts for her friends and kicking back fees to herself. The tow company is one of them. She gets a cut of every tow. I felt my stomach drop. That is why she was so aggressive about towing my truck. Exactly. And it is not just you. She has been doing this to anyone who challenges her. She targets people she thinks will not fight back, and if they do, she escalates until they give up or move out. I need this on record. Will you testify? Not unless I have legal protection. She threatened me after I quit, said she would sue me for defamation if I talked to anyone. My cousin can protect you. He is already representing me. Then yes, I will testify. I took the flash drive and thanked her. I had everything I needed, metadata showing backdated documents, witness testimony from Dennis and Elaine, security footage proving Gloria had lied about the timing of my violation, and now, proof of a financial kickback scheme. But I still needed to catch her in the act. I needed her to lie again, on record, in front of witnesses. And I had an idea how to do it. If you love HOA takedown stories, hit that subscribe button, because this is about to get wild. The Prairie Crossing Design Review Association held board meetings on the first Thursday of every month. They were open to homeowners, but attendance was usually low. Most people did not care about HOA drama until it hit them personally. I was counting on that. I wanted a small audience, just enough to make it official, but not so many that Gloria would clam up. I RSVP'd for the meeting. I also sent a formal agenda request asking to address the board about the parking violation and the records denial. The management company confirmed my request and added me to the agenda. The meeting was held in the clubhouse, a small building near the neighborhood entrance. When I arrived, there were maybe 10 people in the room. Gloria was at the front table with 2 other board members. She saw me, and her face went tight. The meeting started with routine business, budget updates, landscaping bids, pool maintenance. I sat in the back and waited. When they got to homeowner comments, the board president called my name. I walked to the front and set my binder on the table. I am here to address a parking violation I received 2 weeks ago. I was cited for having a commercial vehicle in my driveway, even though my vehicle is registered as personal. I requested copies of the rule change documentation and meeting minutes, and my request was denied. I also requested sign-in sheets and correspondence, and those requests were ignored. I am asking the board to rescind the violation and provide the documents I requested. Gloria leaned forward. Your vehicle is clearly commercial. It has equipment visible in the bed. It has a toolbox. That does not make it commercial. The rule was updated last month to include vehicles with visible equipment. You were notified. I was not notified. And the rule was not updated last month. I checked the metadata on the PDF. It was created 3 weeks ago, after I was cited. The room went quiet. One of the other board members, a man in his 60s, looked at Gloria. Is that true? She laughed. That is absurd. The metadata is a system glitch. The rule was voted on in October. I opened my binder and pulled out a printed copy of the metadata report. I handed it to the board president. This shows the file was created on November 18th. My violation notice is dated November 10th. You cannot cite me for a rule that did not exist yet. Gloria stood up. This is harassment. You are wasting the board's time with conspiracy theories. I turned to the board president. I also have testimony from a former board member who saved copies of meeting minutes before they were altered. She is willing to go on record. And I have documentation from another homeowner who was targeted with the same scam 18 months ago. This is not a one-time mistake. This is a pattern. The board president looked at Gloria. Gloria, do you want to respond? She grabbed the gavel and slammed it on the table. "This meeting is over." The board president put his hand on the gavel. "No, it is not. Sit down." She sat. Her face was red, and her hands were shaking. "I am also aware that the HOA has a financial relationship with the tow company," I said, "and that someone on the board may be receiving kickbacks for approving tow orders. I have documentation of that as well." "That is defamation," Gloria said. "I will sue you." "It is not defamation if it is true. And I have proof." I pulled out the flash drive Elaine had given me and set it on the table. "This contains the original meeting minutes, financial records, and email threads showing backdated approvals and fake invoices. I am happy to provide copies to the board and to the state ombudsman." The other board members were staring at Gloria now. One of them, a woman in her 50s, spoke up. "Gloria, is this true?" Gloria did not answer. She just sat there, gripping the gavel. "I think we need to call an emergency executive session," the board president said. "This meeting is adjourned." Everyone filed out. I stayed behind and waited. My cousin showed up 10 minutes later. He had been parked outside, waiting for my signal. "How did it go?" "Better than I expected. They are spooked. I think they are going to investigate." "Good. Now we wait." We did not have to wait long. The next morning, I got a call from the HOA management company. They wanted to schedule a meeting to discuss my violation. I asked if Gloria would be there. They said no. She had been placed on administrative leave pending an internal review. The meeting was short. The management company rep apologized for the confusion and said the parking violation would be rescinded. They also said they were conducting an audit of all recent violations and vendor contracts. If any irregularities were found, affected homeowners would be refunded. I asked about the records I had requested. The rep said they would be provided within 5 business days. 2 weeks later, the audit results came out. The HOA had been overcharging homeowners for administrative fees tied to bogus violations. Gloria had approved over 30 fake tow orders in the last 2 years, and the tow company had been kicking back 20% of the fees to a shell account she controlled. The total was over $40,000. The HOA board voted to remove Gloria from her position and referred the case to the district attorney. The management company terminated the contract with the tow company, and the HOA issued refunds to everyone who had been charged a bogus fee in the last 2 years. I got my $200 back, plus an apology letter. But the best part came a week later. The HOA held a special meeting to address the audit findings. Gloria showed up, even though she had been removed from the board. She tried to defend herself, saying the whole thing was a misunderstanding and that I had manipulated the evidence. She insisted she had proof that the rules had been updated properly and that the board had voted on everything. Then I stood up. I did not say anything. I just held up my phone. On the screen was a time-stamped video from my security camera, showing Gloria at my front door 3 weeks ago, holding the laminated rule packet and saying the rule had been updated last month. The timestamp on the video was 2 days before the PDF had been created. The room went silent. Gloria stared at the phone, then at me. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. The board president spoke up. "Gloria, the audit found that you backdated meeting minutes, approved fake invoices, and received kickbacks from a vendor. The evidence is overwhelming. We are referring this to law enforcement, and we are moving forward with a civil suit to recover the stolen funds. If you have anything to say, you should say it to your attorney." Gloria stood up, grabbed her things, and walked out. On her way to the door, she passed the folding table she had set up in my driveway weeks ago. Someone had left it in the corner of the meeting room. She stopped, looked at it, and then looked at me. "You can be mad, or you can be compliant," I said. She left without another word. A month later, the district attorney filed charges. Gloria was indicted on fraud, embezzlement, and racketeering. The case made the local news. The HOA hired a new management company and rewrote the bylaws to add transparency requirements and limits on board authority. They also created a homeowner advisory committee to review all major decisions. Dennis called me to say thanks. He said the refund check he got was enough to cover his moving expenses, and he was thinking about moving back to the neighborhood. Elaine sent me an email. She said she was glad someone finally stood up to Gloria, and that she hoped the HOA would do better going forward. My cousin sent me a bill. It was discounted, he said, because he enjoyed watching me take Gloria down. And me? I went back to work. I kept my service logs, kept my documentation, and kept my security cameras running. Because in a neighborhood like Prairie Crossing, you never know when the next Karen is going to show up with a clipboard and a bad attitude. But if they do, I will be ready. I have receipts. I have timestamps. And I have a story that proves sometimes the best revenge is just showing up with the truth. The fallout kept rolling. A few homeowners who had been hit with violations in the past started coming forward with their own stories. One guy had been fined for a trash can placement violation that turned out to be completely fabricated. Another had been cited for a mailbox color that was never mentioned in the rules. Every single one of them had the same laminated notice template, the same handwritten margin notes, and the same aggressive deadline threats. The new management company launched a full forensic audit. They brought in an independent accountant to go through every financial record, every vendor contract, and every enforcement action from the last 3 years. What they found was worse than anyone expected. Gloria had not just been backdating minutes and faking violations. She had been altering financial statements to hide the kickback payments. She had created fake maintenance invoices and pocketed the difference. She had even charged the HOA for vendor services that were never performed. The total amount of theft was over $70,000. The board filed a civil suit to recover the funds. Gloria tried to fight it, but the evidence was overwhelming. The metadata reports, the witness testimony, the security footage, and the audit findings all pointed to the same conclusion. She had been running a years-long scam, and she had gotten away with it because no one had bothered to check her work. Until I did. The funny part, the part that still makes me laugh, is that Gloria had been so obsessed with enforcing deadlines that she got caught by one. She had insisted on a 48-hour compliance window for my parking violation, and that tight deadline forced me to act fast. If she had given me a week, I might have just moved the truck and forgotten about it. But because she pushed so hard, so fast, I started digging. And once I started digging, I could not stop. Her own rules became the trap she walked into. The HOA board formally apologized to every homeowner who had been targeted. They issued refunds for all bogus fees, rescinded every fraudulent violation, and rewrote the enforcement policies to include mandatory review periods and appeal processes. They also voted to remove the folding table from the clubhouse, which got a standing ovation at the next meeting. The vendor termination was the cherry on top. The tow company that had been working with Gloria lost their contract, and the HOA hired a new company with strict accountability rules. No more mystery tow orders. No more aggressive enforcement. Every tow now required written documentation, photographic evidence, and board approval. And Gloria? She ended up pleading guilty to avoid a trial. She was sentenced to probation, restitution, and community service. She also had to issue a formal apology on the record in front of a packed meeting room. I was there. So was Dennis. So was Elaine. So were about 50 other homeowners who had shown up just to watch. Gloria read the apology from a printed statement. Her voice was flat, her face was red, and she did not make eye contact with anyone. When she finished, the room was silent. Then someone in the back started clapping. Slowly at first, then faster. The whole room joined in. It was not applause for her. It was applause for the fact that she was finally being held accountable. She left immediately after. I have not seen her since. The HOA is different now. Quieter. More transparent. The new board actually reads the bylaws before making decisions, and they post meeting minutes within 48 hours instead of 30 days. Homeowners show up to meetings now because they know their voices matter. And the enforcement actions? They are rare, reasonable, and backed by actual rules. I still live in Prairie Crossing. I still park my truck in my driveway. And I still keep detailed logs of everything, because old habits die hard. But I do not have to worry about surprise violations anymore. I do not have to worry about gavel-wielding Karens showing up with clipboards and fake authority. Because the HOA learned the hard way that when you push someone too far, they push back. And when they push back with timestamps, metadata, and a binder full of receipts, you lose. I appreciate you showing up today.